Once upon a time, in a lively city in Nigeria, there lived a woman named Mma. She was older but still beautiful in her own way. Mma had a beautiful daughter named Eniola, a kind-hearted and stunning lady whose beauty was admired by everyone. Eniola had a simple life, and people in the community adored her for her gentle ways and her radiant smile. One young man, Dayo, was especially fond of Eniola. He often watched her from afar, amazed by her beauty and kindness. Mma, however, felt something different. She looked at Eniola and felt a deep of jealousy. How is it, Mma thought, that my own daughter shines brighter than me? As time went by, Mma's jealousy grew. She wasn't happy to see Dayo pay more attention to Eniola. Deep inside, Mma wished Dayo would notice her instead. Every day, Mma watched Eniola grow more beautiful. The more people complimented her daughter, the more Mma felt like she was invisible. She could feel her age showing on her face, wrinkles, tired eyes, and dull skin. She felt as if her time had passed by and that Eniola's beauty was stealing all the love and attention. Mma's heart was filled with envy, and soon her thoughts became darker. She began wondering if there was a way to take back what she felt was hers. To Mma, Dayo was the perfect man, handsome, kind, and respectful. But it was clear that Dayo only had eyes for Eniola. Mma's jealousy started to mix with desire. She wanted Dayo, and she wanted to be young and beautiful again. She didn't care what it would cost. One quiet evening, while Eniola was out helping a neighbor, there was a knock on the door. Mma, sitting alone, wondered who it could be. When she opened the door, an old woman stood there. The woman had a strange look in her eyes, as if she could see right through Mma's heart. She wore a long tattered dress and carried a small black bag. "Good evening," the woman said in a raspy voice. "I know why you are troubled, Mma." Mma was startled. She hadn't shared her feelings with anyone, yet this stranger seemed to know her secret thoughts. Before Mma could respond, the woman continued, "You wish to be beautiful again, to be noticed, loved, and admired. You envy your daughter's youth and beauty. I can help you." Mma felt a shiver down her spine, but was also intrigued. How could this woman know what was in her heart? "How can you help me?" Mma asked, her voice shaking. The old woman smiled, her teeth yellow and sharp. "I have something that can make you as beautiful as you desire, but it will come at a cost that you must be willing to pay." Mma hesitated. She knew there was a danger in this offer, but the temptation was too strong. She invited the woman inside. The old woman sat down and opened her small black bag. Inside was a mirror no bigger than Mma's hand. The mirror's surface shimmered with a strange airy light, as if it was alive. The woman handed the mirror to Mma. "This is no ordinary mirror," the woman explained. "With this mirror, you can take someone's beauty for yourself. All you need to do is stare into it. Think of the person you wish to take beauty from and say the words I will teach you. But be warned, such magic always comes with consequences." Mma's hand shook as she held the mirror. Could this really be true? She looked into the mirror, and for a moment she saw her younger self, youthful, radiant, and full of life. Her heart raced. She wanted it. She wanted to feel beautiful again. "What do I have to do?" Mma asked, her voice barely a whisper. The old woman smiled again, this time more darkly. "When the moon is full, you must look into the mirror. Think of the one whose beauty you desire and speak the words, "Let beauty flow from one to another to make me whole as I steal from the other." Mma repeated the words in her mind, already imagining how perfect she would look once she performed this ritual. She barely thought of the warning the woman had given her. She was consumed by the idea of getting what she wanted. That night, Mma waited until Eniola had gone to bed. The moon was full, casting a silver light over the city. Mma went into her room, locked the door, and pulled out the magic mirror. Her heart pounded with excitement and fear. Holding the mirror up, she stared into it and thought of Eniola. She could see Eniola's face, her bright eyes, smooth skin, and beautiful smile. Mma's jealousy grew stronger. With a trembling voice, Mma whispered the words, "Let beauty flow from one to another to make me whole as I steal from the other." At first, nothing happened. Mma felt a pang of disappointment, but then the mirror began to glow. A cold room swirled through the room even though the windows were closed. Mma's reflection in the mirror began to change. Her wrinkles disappeared, her skin became smooth, and her eyes sparkled with youth. She gasped in awe as her face transformed. Mma felt a rush of energy, a feeling of power like she had never experienced before. She touched her face, hardly believing it was real. She had become beautiful again, but she didn't know what was happening to Eniola at that very moment. In the morning, Eniola woke up feeling strange. She looked into the mirror and gasped. Her once glowing skin was now pale. Her face looked tired and worn. It was as if the life had been drained from her overnight. She didn't understand what had happened. Why did she look so different? When she went outside, people stared at her, whispering to one another. "What happened to Eniola?" they murmured. "She doesn't look like herself anymore." Eniola felt embarrassed and confused. She couldn't explain the change in her appearance, and as the days went by, she became more and more withdrawn. The attention and compliments she used to receive were now received with pity and concern. Meanwhile, Mma was enjoying her new beauty. People who hadn't noticed her before were now showering her with compliments. She felt alive again, and Dayo, who used to be in love with Eniola, couldn't take his eyes off Mma. Dayo, like everyone else, was puzzled by Eniola's sudden transformation. He had always admired her for her inner beauty, but now something was different. It wasn't just her appearance. Her spirit seemed dimmed as well. She no longer smiled as brightly, and her laughter had faded. Dayo tried to stay close to Eniola, but he couldn't help but notice how drawn he was to Mma now. She looked youthful and full of life the way Eniola used to look. Dayo's feeling became confused, and slowly he began spending more time with Mma, feeling a strange attraction towards her. Mma, on the other hand, enjoyed every moment of Dayo's attention. She flaunted her beauty and made sure to be around him as much as possible. She knew what she had done, but in her heart she didn't care. All that mattered was that she was young and beautiful again, and Dayo was finally noticing her. Mma was now the center of attraction wherever she went. The city was buzzing with talk about her amazing transformation. Her friends and neighbors couldn't stop talking about how youthful and radiant she had become. Mma soaked in admiration, walking with a newfound confidence. She no longer felt jealous of her daughter now. Everyone looked at her with envy. But with each passing day, Mma noticed something strange. She began to have disturbing dreams. In the dreams, she would see Eniola crying, her beauty fading more and more, while Mma's own face became older and uglier each time she looked into the mirror. She would wake up, her heart racing, but when she looked into the magic mirror, her youthful face would calm her. Mma ignored the growing sense of unease. After all, she had everything she wanted. Eniola's beauty was hers now, and no one would ever take it away from her. Eniola's best friend, Toke, was the first to notice the strange change in both Eniola and Mma. Toke had known Eniola since they were children, and she knew something was terribly wrong. Eniola's once glowing spirit has dimmed, and she no longer smiled as she used to. At the same time, Toke couldn't ignore Mma's sudden transformation. How could she have become so young and beautiful overnight? One afternoon, Toke visited Eniola. She found her sitting quietly, staring out of the window, lost in thought. Eniola barely looked up when Toke entered the room. "Eniola, what's going on? You haven't been yourself lately," Toke asked softly. Eniola sighed and turned to her friend. "I don't know, Toke. I just feel tired. I don't understand it. It's as if my beauty, my energy, everything is just fading away." Toke frowned. "And your mother? She looks so different now, so young and beautiful." The words felt strange as she said them, and a suspicion began to grow in her mind. Eniola looked at Toke, her eyes full of confusion. "I don't know what is happening, Toke. I've tried to figure it out, but I just don't know. I just don't understand. How can I change so much in just few days? And Mama, she's just acting strange too." Toke's heart ached for her friend. "Eniola, something isn't right. I think we need to find help. There might be more going on here than we know." She thought for a moment and then added, "We should go see Baba Oludera. He's wise and maybe he can help us understand what's happening." Baba Oludara was a respected elder in the city, known for his wisdom and knowledge of ancient traditions. People often went to him for advice whenever they faced problems that seemed beyond ordinary understanding. When Toke and Eniola arrived at his small, humble home, they found him sitting outside under a large baobab tree, stroking his long white beard. "Ah, Toke, Eniola," Baba Oludara said warmly. "What brings you here today?" Eniola felt shy, but Toke spoke up. "Baba, something is happening to Eniola. Her beauty is fading, and she feels weak and tired. At the same time, her mother Mma has suddenly become young and beautiful. We don't understand what's happening, and we hope you could help us." Baba Oludara looked at Eniola closely, his wise eyes narrowing as if he could see beyond her appearance. He nodded slowly and gestured for them to sit down. He said in a low voice, "Eniola, someone has stolen your beauty. It is not a natural change. It has been taken from you by magic." Eniola's eyes widened. "But who? How could this happen?" Baba Oludara's gaze grew more serious. "The person who took your beauty is close to you, someone who has access to your spirit and essence. Only someone with strong desire for what you have could perform such ritual." Toke gasped. "Mma, it has to be her. Eniola, it makes sense. Your mother suddenly became young and beautiful at the exact moment you started to change." Eniola's heart sank as she realized Toke might be right. But why would my mother do this to me? Baba Oludara sighed. "Jealousy is a powerful force. Your mother may have felt that her time was over, that her beauty was lost to age, and seeing yours may have stirred something dark in her heart. But the magic she used will not last forever. It comes with great danger for both of you. After hearing Baba Oludara's words, Eniola couldn't shake the thought that her own mother might be responsible for her fading beauty. The idea broke her heart, but she needed to know the truth. Over the next few days, she began watching Mma more closely, trying to find clues that could confirm her suspicion. One evening, while Mma was out, Eniola snuck into her mother's room. She knew it was wrong, but she had to find an answer. As she searched through Mma's things, she came across a small, strange mirror hidden in a drawer. It wasn't like any other mirror she had seen before. Its surface shimmered with an unnatural light, and as she looked into it, Eniola felt a chill run down her spine. Suddenly, she saw her own reflection in the mirror, but it wasn't her current tired, drained self. It was how she used to look before, radiant and full of life. Eniola gasped, realizing that this mirror held the secret to her mother's transformation. This was the source of the magic that had stolen her beauty. Tears welled up in her eyes as the truth hit her. Her mother had taken her beauty to regain her youth and win Dayo's affection. Eniola's heart broke as she realized the betrayal. That night, Eniola couldn't keep her pain inside her any longer. She confronted Mma as soon as she returned home. "Mama, why did you do this to me?" Eniola asked, holding up the magic mirror. Mma's face went pale when she saw the mirror in Eniola's hand. For a moment, she was silent, but then she tried to deny it. "What are you talking about, Eniola? I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know what you mean." "Don't lie to me, Mama," Eniola cried, tears streaming down her face. "I know you used this mirror to take my beauty. How could you do that to your own daughter?" Mma's hands trembled as she looked at the mirror. She knew she had been caught, and the guilt she had been trying to push away for so long finally bubbled to the surface. I didn't mean to go this far, Eniola," she whispered. I just wanted to feel young again, to be noticed. I didn't think it would hurt you like this." Eniola stared at her mother in disbelief. "You didn't think? You took everything from me. My beauty, my happiness, and now Dayo is drifting away from me too." Mma's eyes filled with tears, but she couldn't bring herself to apologize. The jealousy and the desire that had consumed her were too strong. "I didn't want to lose everything, Eniola. I was just tired of being invisible." As Mma continued to use the magic mirror, something strange began to happen. Her nightmare grew worse, and the more she relied on the mirror to keep her beauty, the more her body began to rebel. Whenever she wasn't near the mirror, she would feel weak and ill, and her skin would start to age rapidly, only to become youthful again whenever she touched the mirror. Mma started to panic. She knew the magic was turning against her, but she was too afraid to stop using it. Without the mirror, she would lose her beauty, and worse, she would have to face the consequences of her actions. Eniola too was suffering. Her health was fading, and she felt more and more distant from the person she used to be. She could see the toll the magic was taking on her mother, but she didn't know how to reverse it. Desperate to save herself and her mother, Eniola returned to Baba Oludara. She explained everything that had happened, including how she had found the mirror. Baba Oludara nodded gravely. "The magic in that mirror is dark and powerful. The only way to break the spell is to destroy the mirror. But your mother will not give it up easily. The mirror has a hold on her now, and it feeds on her vanity and jealousy." Eniola knew Baba was right. Mma had become obsessed with the mirror, and getting it from her would be very dangerous. But Eniola was determined to free herself from this curse. She and Toke came up with a plan to take the mirror from Mma and destroy it once and for all. The night was tense as Eniola, Toke, and Baba Oludara prepared to confront Mma. Eniola knew this wouldn't be easy, but she had to be brave. When they arrived at Mma's house, they found her sitting in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection, lost in the beauty that wasn't truly hers. Eniola's heart ached at the sight of her mother so consumed by the desire for youth. "Mma, please give me the mirror," Eniola said softly as she approached. Mma's eyes darted at the mirror, then back to Eniola. "No, I can't. I need it, Eniola. Without it, I will be nothing again." "You're already losing yourself, Mama. This mirror is destroying you and is destroying me too," Eniola pleaded. As Mma clutched the mirror tightly, refusing to let go, the mirror began to glow ominously, and Mma's face twisted in fear. She knew the magic was slipping out of control, but her desperation to hold on to her beauty was stronger. In the dimly lit room, the glow from the mirror intensified, casting airy shadows on the walls. Mma clutched the mirror tighter, her knuckles white, unwilling to let it go. The once beautiful woman now looked desperate, her face a mixture of fear and madness as she stared at her reflection. "Mama, please," Eniola cried, stepping closer. "This mirror is not giving you true beauty. It's only taking from me. It's changing you, don't you see it?" Mma shook her head frantically. "No, Eniola, I need it. Without it, I will be nothing again. People will stop noticing me, and Dayo will never look at me." Baba Oludara, who had been quietly watching the scene unfold, finally spoke up. His voice seemed to fill the room. "Mma, the mirror feeds on your fear. It's making you believe that your worth comes from your beauty. But that's a lie. You must let go, or it will destroy everything." Toke stepped forward, her eyes filled with determination. "Mma, you are hurting your daughter. Is beauty worth more than your love for her?" For a brief moment, Mma's grip on the mirror loosened as doubt flickered in her eyes. She looked at Eniola, truly seeing her daughter for the first time in what felt like ages. Eniola's face was pale and tired, her once radiant beauty drained away. Guilt washed over her, and for a second, she felt the weight of her actions. But then, the mirror pulsed with light again, and Mma's fear surged. She held it tightly to her chest, backing away from them all. "I can't. I need it," she screamed. Before anyone could react, a cold wind swept through the room, and the mirror began to hum with a low menacing sound. Mma gasped as her reflection in the mirror wept. Her youthful face flickered between beauty and horror, and suddenly, her skin began to crack and wrinkle right before their eyes. The mirror was turning on her. "Mama," Eniola shouted, rushing forward. She grabbed her mother's hand, trying to pull the mirror away from her. "Let go before it's too late," Mma screamed, struggling to keep the mirror. As the mirror grew stronger, she felt her strength fading. The mirror's glow was now blinding, and the room filled with swirling wind. Eniola, with tears streaming down her face, she kept pulling, trying to free her mother from the mirror's grip. Baba Oludara raised his voice over the chaos. "The mirror's power will only end when it's destroyed, Eniola. You must break it." With all her might, Eniola yanked the mirror out of her mother's hands. Mma stumbled back, weep and gasping. Eniola hesitated for just a second, looking at her mother's frail form. Then, with a scream of pain and anger, She hurled the mirror to the ground. The mirror shattered into 1,000 tiny pieces, and in an instant, the room felt silent. The airy wind disappeared, and the glowing light from the mirror faded into nothingness. The pieces of glass scattered across the floor, no longer holding any power. As the mirror shattered, Mma collapsed to the floor, her breath coming in a shallow gasp. Eniola rushed to her side, her heart pounding with fear for her mother's life. "Mama, are you okay?" Eniola whispered, holding her mother's trembling hand. Mma slowly opened her eyes, her face now wrinkled and aged. She no longer looked like the beautiful young woman she had become through the magic. Instead, she looked older than before her true age, but with the lines of pain and guilt ached in her face. "I'm sorry," Mma whispered, her voice weak. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted to feel beautiful again, to feel loved." Eniola's heart ached for her mother. Despite everything that had happened, she could see now that Mma's action had come from a place of deep insecurity and fear of losing her identity as she grew older. "I forgive you, Mama," Eniola said softly, tears in her eyes. "But we have to move forward now. The magic is gone, and we need to heal." Baba Oludara stepped forward and gently placed a hand on Mma's shoulder. "The mirror's curse is broken, but it will take time for both of you to heal from the wounds it caused. Beauty comes from the heart, not from a reflection from a mirror. You must both remember that." In the days that followed, Eniola slowly began to regain her strength and her beauty. With the curse broken, her natural radiance returned, and people once again saw her as the beautiful young woman she had always been. But more importantly, Eniola felt her spirit lift. She was no longer consumed by the sadness and exhaustion that had plagued her. Mma, however, had a longer journey ahead. She struggled with the guilt of what she had done and the reality of her aged appearance. But with Baba Oludara's guidance, she slowly began to heal. She learned to accept herself as she was, understanding that beauty was more than what she saw in the mirror. Dayo too was shocked when he learned the truth about what happened. He apologized to Eniola, admitting that he had been confused and drawn to Mma's false beauty. But Eniola, having grown wiser through her experience, forgave him and decided to take time to focus on herself and her own healing. Weeks turned into months, and the city eventually stopped talking about Mma's transformation. Life returned to normal, though the memory of what had happened lingered in the hearts of those involved. Eniola grew stronger each day, and her beauty was now matched by a deeper wisdom. She had learned a valuable lesson about self-worth and the dangers of jealousy. She no longer sought validation from others, and instead found peace in knowing who she truly was. As for Mma, she continued to rebuild her life. Though she would never regain her youth, she found new ways to connect with people, ways that didn't rely on her appearance. She and Eniola worked on repairing their relationship, and over time, they became closer than ever before. I hope you loved this story. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and also hit that notification button so that you'll be notified anytime we post a new video. We'd love to see you in our next video. Until then, see you guys.